This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Question: why are there so few Asian men in the world of American pornography? It's a funny, weird, and perhaps petty thing to mention, and truth be told, I don't actually care. But this observation is relevant because it reflects how the Western world sees Asian men. In particular, Hollywood thinks Asian men are just not sexy.
Your choice, bitches!
If I ask you to think of an Asian male character written with an abundance of sex appeal, most of you would probably think of non-American films first. The same phenomenon doesn't apply to the same extent for female Asian characters, even back in the earliest days of Hollywood. But we know there are hot Asian dudes. They are right there. So does Hollywood just hate Asian men? Okay then. Today, let's take a stroll through history and check out how the perception of Asian men changed in the eyes of Hollywood. From Yellow Peril all the way to Asian Himbo. We aren't very classy today, so hang on tight. This is the Asian Sexy Revolution. The desexualization of Asian men began as a one-two combo of both racism and, interestingly, sexism. Believe it or not, early American cinema actually depicts Asian men as seducers and sexual deviants. Hisuru Tori from The Cheat, for example, is a mysterious and charming Asian gentleman and secretly a sexual predator. In Shanghai Express, General Henry Chang is implied to be not only a predator, but gasped, a bisexual man. The implication is that Asian men are sexually impure, they are animals. As critic Gary Hoppenstein identified, the perceived influence of Oriental seducers represents a spiritual damnation for white women. Of course, when such damnation is presented by an Asian woman to a white man, the man is still free to flirt with and even save the woman from her own damnation. This is why Asian woman is a tag on adult websites. All of this would manifest into one of the many aspects of fear in the notion of Yellow Peril. Cartoons would depict Asian men as subhuman, a danger to the sanctity of the white Western world, which is, of course, represented by a white woman. And then America went to war with the Philippines, and then with Japan, and then China, and then Vietnam, Indonesia, you get the point. The fear of Asians persisted, and the caricatures grew more ingrained in people's mind, until it becomes the god Antichrist. Mr. Yonioshi from Breakfast at Tiffany's is your quintessential Asian male stereotype. His foreign accent, bumbling demeanor, as well as his failure to understand social norms were and still are some of the most persistent negative stereotypes. To this day, whenever you see an Asian man in movies or on TVs, they are very likely to be nerds who can talk to girls and have zero sex appeal. Oh god, there are so many. Stop. Cut to the commercial. If you are a good-looking Asian man, do us a favor, use Squarespace, start a website, let the world know you exist. You can use the link squarespace.com/accentthecinema to start your free trial, and use the code accentthecinema to get 10% off your first purchase. Seriously though, if you have anything you like to show, your brand, your restaurant, your art, your acting career, the most professional way is to show off with a website. It looks so much better on your business card having just one link to rule them all. Making a website is as simple as picking a template and making a few adjustments. Convenient and intuitive, I make this mock website in less than 10 minutes. And with this catalog of award-winning templates, your website will look great with minimal effort. So go to squarespace.com/accentthecinema and show yourself to the world. Between 1950s to 1980s, a few things happened that rocked Hollywood. First, the civil rights movement made American media more aware of racial minorities. This is when Sidney Poitier became the first black movie star. Meanwhile, Hong Kong was becoming an influential movie hub. Kung Fu cinema began to captivate America. And it is in this era of great change, we met the first and still the biggest Asian male sex icon. It's the up-teen time we talk about Bruce Lee, but that is just how influential he really was to Asian representation. The man stood in front of Chuck Norris, who had the body of a Greek god, and Bruce Lee still looks good. He single-handedly shattered the notion that Asian men are weak and subhuman. But here's the thing, it isn't just Bruce Lee the actor, his characters were also written with a degree of sex appeal. In The Way of the Dragon, he is lust over, enough for an Italian beauty to present herself. While in Enter the Dragon, an actual American production, the camera glamorizes his body in ways not too dissimilar to James Bond, arguably the movie archetype for sexy male characters. It's small, but compared to what came before and even after, it's a big step forward. Bruce Lee cast such a large shadow from the 70s all the way to the late 90s. The only way for Asian men to be sexy in the eyes of Hollywood is to be Bruce Lee. Quite literally. In the 90s, the Hong Kong film industry created some of the most beloved male stars of all time. Many of them were and are seen as sex icons in Asia. Tony Leung, Leslie Chang, Takeshi Kaneshiro, Andy Lau, Leon Lai. And they all have one thing in common. They didn't make it to Hollywood. From Jackie Chan to Jet Li, from John Woo to Yuen Woo-ping, the only thing Hollywood wanted from Asian men was action. The funniest example is Chow Yun-fat. He was never known to be an action star in Asia, but he still had to be one in Hollywood. Except in Anna and the King. Nevertheless, Hong Kong action stars from this era continue to challenge the old and persistent perception of weak Asian men, and the result was colorful. White, Asian, African American, Jackie Chan even married a Sioux woman. Their characters have love interests of all races and ethnicity. They seem like the hottest studs in the world. Yet at the same time, like in Romeo Must Die, Jet Li, the cool-as-heck bad boy who broke out of jail, still can't escape the trope of being a nerdy cab driver who can't speak to girls. Not to mention, Hollywood continues to be deathly allergic to interracial kisses. By this point, the desexualization of Asian male characters was more or less the default. Asian men are cool, funny, and even charming, but almost never sexy. Films seldom view them with sexual intent, even when the opportunity presents itself. If you don't know what I mean by sexual intent, here are some examples. It's like, you let Chris Tucker go topless but not Jackie Chan? Really? Thanks to the internet, a new generation of Americans became much more aware of the rest of the world. Look, I'm talking about K-pop stans. From the ancient days of H.O.T. to the current dominance of BTS, the rise of Korean oppa shaped the definition of sexy Asian men since the late 2000s. When there is an audience, there is a market. Suddenly, Asian American stars with sex appeal is no longer in such dire short supply, and they are no longer limited to the genre of action. Meanwhile, beauty standard is also expanding. More people are willing to see the charm beyond narrowly defined physical features. Take a white actor as an example. Adam Driver is good looking, but probably not what most people consider to be sculpted. Nevertheless, he still has a lot of fangirls. Why? Because he's talented. Talented men are sexy. This trend applies to Asian men especially. With a greater vacuum, there are more spaces for actors and characters. No offense to Randall Park, but I don't think a comedian fits most people's definition of sexy. And at first glance in Always Be My Maybe, Park plays yet another bumbling Asian nerd. But then, 30 minutes into the movie, and he starts rapping.
Hello, this is how we greet you. This is what we say every day when we meet you.
He pops up and becomes such a charming man.
Welcome to the city that used to be free of suckers till the...
He's pretty good at flirting.
Look in the back seat. Yeah. Because we had sex back there.
He is approachable yet sexy. He also punches Keanu Reeves. Watch this movie, it's great. This Hollywood definition of sexy Asian man is, of course, not without its controversies. To some, the dominance of small-eye Asian stars in Hollywood is perceived as a sort of Orientalism, a beauty standard enforced by Hollywood executives which does not reflect true Asian perception. And yeah, none of my Asian friends think Smulio is hot. But that controversy will have to wait for another video. The trend is still new, just a few actors here and there is hardly a representative sample. We have only just begun fighting back against the desexualization of Asian men. If you have not found your ideal American oppa, call for it, fight for it, wait for it. In the fight against this stereotype, the Hollywood pendulum has swung all the way to the other end. Instead of having nerdy and unsexy Asian men, we now have hung Asian men who are really dumb, which I have to say is kinda hilarious. All this talk about desexualization sounds kinda silly, and it may not be the most important thing in the world, but it's only really silly to us because we are so used to accepting this bias without challenging it. Being aware of small biases that disguise themselves as normal allows us to realize just how often we take things at face value. That's why we should question things, to see things as they truly are, and then make things better. Or in this case, sexier.